First thing we do with this one is to loosen up this around the edges. Move that part. And then we need a T20 screwdriver, so Torx 20, and that removes each of the screws either side. I'm going to do it now. So after unscrewing, you can remove the screen. You see two plugs on the back. Now the black one, you unplug it, but we don't need it. We don't need to plug it in on the new screen. Okay, so we're going to unplug it, but leave it there. And then it's for this blue one. Going to remove that. You may have a different style plug depending on your model, but that's the display cable, and that will need to remain plugged in. This one's just for powering the screen, but as you'll see, our screen is going to get powered off, piggyback off the main unit anyway. So you can remove that, and we're not using it anymore. Just using this blue one. Now removing this air vent panel can be a bit tricky, a bit fiddly. And what you have to do first is to open the glove box. See these tabs here. These black tabs. Sorry about the sun, you can't really see them on this side. Yeah, so these silver tabs, these pull down. Okay, so pull down like that all the way. One and two. So these tabs are completely pulled down, 1 and 2. And then the tricky bit is, I don't know if you can see this, but there is a little black plastic tab just behind here. You're going to need a hook or something like this to get in there. And the idea is you're going to get to the right side of it and then pull it left. And that's going to open. When you pull it left, it's going to release the tab on this right-hand side one. And then you do the same thing on this left-hand side one. So you probably can't even see them. It'll be in the middle one. So you go 1, 2, 3, middle one. If you look in there on your one, you will be able to see them. You'll be able to see a little indent, which is where the tab is. You need to get your hook in there and you need to pull the indent so the tab releases. When the tabs have released, can pull the whole thing forward. You can use your pry tool to start leveraging the whole thing forward. It starts off a bit easier on this side, so if you want to remove the left side first and then work to the middle, it might be a bit easier. So another look now. You can see the tab there that I've opened already. So when you get your hook in there, see it there? There it is. Once you've pulled it left, it's gonna remain loose. Pulled it all the way, you're gonna see it a bit more slack and opened up. And on this side there, see it there? There it is. So I've just got my hook in there and pulled it right to release the tab, and then you can get your hand in there and look, the whole thing comes loose. And the tabs on the left side from the glove box have been removed, so the whole piece will come out. And what we're going to do now is release the plugs for the air vents and the clock. One, two, three. Now I can remove this part for now. Now we're looking here. Now, it would be handy if you could get your T20, because there's 2 more T20 screws here, one left and right, which are holding the stereo in. You can't really get a screwdriver in there to easily open them, so you have to get something which has got a horizontal angle on it. This little ratchet nut driver, socket wrench. I'm going to fix a T20 fixing onto the end of it now. Alright, so I've now got my T20 screw bit on the end. And the idea is just to loosen these screws. It's not actually to remove them, just to loosen them. And I'll tell you now, it takes a lot longer than you think. You just have to keep on loosening them. You don't want to remove them because then they probably won't go back in. Well, it's not the end of the world. You'll still be able to put your stereo back in. It just won't be screwed in. It will still be difficult to remove. It's a bit of a beast. It just won't have the screws anymore. So if you want to keep the screws, just loosen them. To loosen them a hell of a lot. I'm going to start doing it now and then show you how much you need to loosen them. And ideally you don't remove them. So we'll do that now. So I think it's easier to just to remove the screws completely out. So that's what they look like. So you see they're quite long. When they get to this black looking part at the bottom, you know they're about to become loose. And you could always just, you know, screw them back in. So it's really not a big problem removing them. Once both of those are completely out, then the whole unit will come out. First of all, you need to remove this one, which is for the panel for the heated seats, etc. So that's a push tab on the top. Okay, see the wire only comes out that fast, that's why you have to remove that one first. Make sure you don't break that, and then the rest of the stereo will pull forward. Okay. The only thing we're going to be removing when you're leaving everything as it is, except the main power plug, which is the black one. So that is a push tab. So you push the bottom of the tab, squeeze it down, and then lift up. The whole plug comes out. That. Also going to remove the fiber optic cables, which are these two. These also need to be removed, and there is also a push tab on the bottom, as you can see. And then that will also come out. Tricky one-handed. Obviously squeeze it and pull it out with the other hand, or use a flathead screwdriver to help you. Remove these blue and orange fiber optic cables because they're going to be going into the back of the new harness, which is this one, in the exact same place. Okay. So, what I've done before going ahead and, you know, moving on and finishing the installation, I've just plugged it in briefly just to test everything. Just plug the screen in, the main power plug, which is this one on the left, that's patched into my power plug here. Okay, so the original plug goes in there, and it patches, R1 patches into the back of the stereo. And remember to put your fiber optic cables, these orange and blue ones, have to be in, otherwise there will be no sound. So remember that step. I've plugged the display cable, the blue Facra plug, I've plugged into the back of this one, which is the one on the right. And as I said, we're ignoring this little black one. We're actually ignoring most of these other ones here. This white plug is for 360 cameras. We're going to ignore it. Unless you're putting a reverse camera, there's really nothing much you should need here, apart from maybe the microphone. But we're going to just test it for now, before finishing it off. Now to get the sound, you're going to have an AMI port, which is either this one here in the center console, and that's what it's shaped like, so that's what you're looking for, and that's where your little patch cable here is to go. So this one labeled BC AMI, included with the kit, that has to patch into here, and then that has to connect to this one, which is running round and is running off the main harness. Okay, so this wire here. So what you have to do is feed this wire. It's a bit fiddly annoying, but you have to feed this wire eventually to this center console point. So now we've got audio playing on the new system. That's the audio for the video. If I unplug this, the audio disappears. Plug it back in, it's back. So that is how you get your audio on the new system, CarPlay, etc. If you don't have the AMI port in the center console, you'll have it in the glove box. So look in your glove box, you'll see it either on the left or the right. And it's a bit easier, then you only have to get your cable to in the glove box. Much easier than getting it to here. It's a bit of a pain because we're gonna have to loosen up the screws and everything, and you know, try and tuck this wire out of view. Probably feed it up the left-hand side, up the stereo location, and then finally up to the screen location. So that's probably the longest part, but unfortunately it is a necessary step. So I'm gonna start feeding my cables now. We've tested everything's working. If you're still getting no sound, you need to go into your vehicle information app, this one, and you'll see the original Mercedes menu. If you don't see it, if it's just a black screen, make sure your stereo is turned on. Once it's turned on, you'll hear the radio start, so you know it's on. If it's still not displaying, you swipe left and you change your original vehicle video source to the one you have. So I had to change this one to an 800 by 480, which is the dimensions of the original screen. If you've got the smaller screen, 400 by 240, that's what it comes as default. You see it's just a black screen. But as soon as we find the right resolution, it comes to life. And you can also make this full screen as well, like that. So that's up to you. So after you've done that, you go into audio and you go aux, and that's the new system audio. Okay, so you go radio, change it back to the radio, you go aux, change it back to CarPlay. So swipe down to go home, and now the audio is back for our new audio. Okay, so the testing is done. Now it's just time to start routing our wires through. So we need to route our main harness. We need to pass that up to the screen location. And we also need to do our audio cable to the AMI port. And anything else you might be plugging in, like dash cam. Got a dash cam here, microphone, etc. You want reverse camera, start running all the wires. There's 2 USB ports coming off this main one as well. So if you want to use those, they can also be run, and I usually run them out the bottom on the left hand side, so they're poking out the bottom there because the glove box is closed off. So that's it. We're going to go into the cable routing now. I'm going to start routing them and then we'll recap at the end. The main plug, I've started passing it up the right hand side. So that main power plug, this white one, you can see I've fed it behind here. Got it poked up through here. Now you'll notice space is very tight on this one, so just take your time, don't break any wires, just wiggle things slowly, very slowly. We're going to wiggle this up, and then you see it's going to poke out the top there. And the idea is you don't want any cables in the way of your stereo going back in, because there is zero space to work with. Everything needs to be out of the way for this to go fully back in at the end. So bear that in mind as you're putting your cables through. Try and leave all this space clear as possible to make the ending a bit easier on yourself. Okay, so I've got all my cables plugged in here. If you unscrew this bottom bit, so just take the two, the middle and this side screw out, loosen it up, and then you can easily just reach your hand up to behind the stereo. See, and that's how I got my cables. You can see them there. That's how I passed my cables here for my USB ports and SIM card holder, and they're just going to be stored in here. And you can also pass your audio cable this way. So that's this one that's also been passed behind the stereo from up here. Passed it down here, and then I'm just lightly tucking it underneath the trim all the way. And when it reaches back here, what I did is to remove this. It's on two hinges, so it's on a hinge down here and it's on a hinge this side. Again, it's a bit fiddly, but you can wiggle it out, and then you can see on my cable here, I've passed through the little hole here, just pinched it a bit, but that's okay. And then what you can do is loosen up this, see the indent there, you can get your screwdriver in there and pull that out, and then you've got a hole for your AMI port to go through. So I've put the cable for my AMI port in the back of this, and the cable's coming out here. So now I've screwed my frame in, pushed it in place, screwed both screws that were holding the original one in, put the covers back over, and then we can put our screw fits on the top. This screen has to fit on these ridges here, so where you see these ridges, 1, 2, and 3 and 4, they have to go into these ridges there, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So make sure they're slid over all 4 so it's locked nice and tight, otherwise it'd be a bit wobbly. And then finally you put your screws in the top through these holes to hold it in.